Developers are creators, isn't it? We create stuff, we recreate stuff, and we also make things reusable. At least most of us. If you're into the web world, you will appreciate the existence of NPM, the Node Package Manager. If NPM were not there, it would have been really hard for us to use so many packages that are available for free that somebody created for us. And when it comes to us for creating for somebody else, I think we should not step back. Hey, this is Tapas, and today's video we are going to talk about creating NPM out of your React components and React hook. Think about a case that you have created a React hook and you think that hook is going to be useful for many other fellow developers. What a good cause for you to give to the developer community, isn't it? Now it is just the next step that you take that hook, put into some environment and make an NPM out of it. And then register that NPM publicly into NPM registry so that anybody else can download that NPM and use it. How awesome that is for the entire developer community, and how great it is for you to create your own NPM out of the work that you are doing. There are several ways you can create NPM out of your React component and React hooks. You may be knowing some of the methodologies already, but the one that I'm going to teach you is probably a very straightforward one and something that you can do very easily, very quickly. Please watch this video fully, because at the end of the video, I have also given you a small task as usual. And if you are able to do that task, please submit it on my Discord channel, on TapasScript Discord channel, so that we together can discuss and make it even better. So without any further delay, let us get started. And if you like this video, please do a like, share and subscribe, because if you subscribe, it gives me a lot of motivation to create a lot of great content for you. All right, so let's get started. So if you have never published an NPM before and you're actually doing it for the first time, there are a few prerequisites. Okay, I'll tell you these prerequisites. Make sure that you set those up, because we'll be needing them as we proceed. And this is going to be very enjoyable for you, because at the end of it, you are going to feel like, oh great, I've created some stuff. So the first thing is, you should go to npmjs.com and make sure that you have signed up here. You have an account if you don't have, and if you have an account, make sure that you're able to log in. You know the password, you know the username, and you know the email ID that is associated with this account. That's the first thing. The second thing is, you should have a GitHub account at least, and I believe that every developer must have a GitHub account, and I don't have to repeat this, but you should have. And if you don't have, in that case, please create one, because you would also need a GitHub account. And the third thing is, of course, I expect you to know some amount of React, because I am not going to go very deep inside about ReactJS in this particular video. But if you're new to React, new to custom hook, new to hook and component, I have the entire React series for you for free in this channel. So go ahead and start learning React. All right. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about is, like, though we are trying to make a React hook or a React component as an NPM, but the same methodology you can use to make any JavaScript utility classes, utility functions as NPM package as well. Is exactly same. Though I am talking about React, but it can be used for anything else that is JavaScript related. So we said we'll be making a React hook, isn't it? And that's the hook. We'll make it available as an NPM. But what is it hook about? I thought, why don't we make an hook that gives us the information about a country? And that's why we found an API which is called restcountries.com. And there we have a bunch of APIs for country information. We have API to list down all the countries in the globe. We have API to fetch one country by its name. So there are a bunch of APIs that are available. So I thought, okay, let's take up one API where I can provide a name, and with that name, I can fetch the information of a country. And then that information I can use in anywhere in any other app. So the hook that we are going to create is basically, we'll accept a country name, and based on the country name is going to return you back the country information, like what is country's full name, what is the language, what is the flag color, and all this kind of information that you can take and build your own UI. That's what a very basic hook we are going to create, a React hook. And again, this is just for the example purpose, to teach you the idea of creating an NPM using hook. After that, you can think about what innovation you can bring, what else you can create that will be much more meaningful for the developer community. So we are keen on using this particular API where it actually takes the name and respond back all the details. So the URL says https restcountries.com/v3.1/name, and this is the name, actual name that you have to pass. So they already have given an example of this one. I'm just going to copy this, open a tab, then paste this one. See, it is going to give me all the information about this country. So similar kind of thing that we are going to use, similar API we're going to use for our React hook as well. So let's go, open your VS Code, and let's start coding. So the first thing we have to do is to create our project, and we can initialize the project creation using the command called npm init. But before that, make sure that you have Node.js installed. So let me start the project by creating my basic project structure, the main configuration file of the project called package.json. I'll be creating that using the command called npm init, and then is going to ask me a bunch of questions. I'm going to give them. First thing is the package name. Now here something is important. The package name, whatever the package name that you give, your npm will be published with that name. So think of a name before you get started with it. For us, it is to deal with the countries, right? So let me give something called tapas-countries. Okay, next the version, go with 100, just press enter. Description, give a suitable description, say that, sounds great. Entry point, keep it like index.js for now. Test command blank, git repository blank, keywords, you can put some keywords like React. It helps you to search your NPM over the web. So definitely put some keywords that are meaningful to you. And then author, I can put my name. License, I'll go with MIT license, which is free for everyone. Is this okay? Yeah, it's perfect. So it has created a package.json file. If I can open this package.json file for a moment and get rid of this, I can see everything that I have inserted as my response into this question that was asked to me. The next thing that I want to do, I want to create a repo on GitHub, and I want to start pushing the things, as and when I'm done. So this is the practice that you should follow in your development. Whenever you're doing development, make sure that you keep pushing your changes in a logical manner. So I'm going to create the repository first for this, and then going to keep pushing my changes. I'm creating a new repository, and I'm naming this repository as the same as the package name called tapas countries. We'll give a description. Keep the same description as we have given in the package.json file. You have to make this repository public, so you can keep this as public and then just do create repository. All right, so your repository is ready, and it is going to give you some instructions. We know this instruction, so I'm going to go to the terminal again, and I'm going to connect my local project with this remote repository so that here on we can start pushing our changes incrementally. Now we have to install some dependencies and some libraries, right? So we are doing a React hook and a React project. So first thing we'll do is start installing React DOM. React and React DOM are installed. We can see them under dependencies, React and React DOM. Next, we want to install a special module bundler called Rollup. Rollup is a popular module bundler, and that is very, very handy. It's a Node.js based module handler. There are many benefits of Rollup. One of the most amazing benefit is like you write your source code whatever the way you want, whatever the way you want to structure. This is going to bundle every stuff for you. It is not only going to bundle, it is going to minify things for you. It is going to do your code linting. So it is going to do the tree shaking, everything that is going to take care of it. So we'll be writing our hooks, right? And maybe we're starting with writing one hook, but you can continue writing many hooks. But when you deliver your NPM package publicly, you don't want your NPM package to be very, very huge and bulky. You want your code to be minified. You might not want to give the source code out, so you want to uglify it, right? So there are various kind of stages, various kind of things that you want to take care in your code project itself. So for that, we'll be using the Rollup module bundler. Let's use Rollup as a dev dependency. So in the command prompt, do yarn add rollup --dev. We have installed Rollup. You can see that Rollup has been added as a dev dependency. The next thing that we're going to do is to add a very basic Rollup configuration file. What Rollup configuration file is, in that configuration file, we'll be telling Rollup to do certain operation. See, one thing I want to tell you guys, all the module bundlers, we as a developer are a bit scared to kind of learn, understand and touch them. But the module bundlers are like cough syrup, So whatever you require for your cough, you only take that much. If you try to take too much, you will be feeling dizzy and giddiness. Learn a bundler in a way like for your specific use cases, use it, and once you're comfortable, then only kind of explore more, try to go much more deeper and try to understand that. So with Rollup, we are going to do exactly same thing. I'm going to create a Rollup configuration file now, and in that configuration file, you will see like how easily we can configure stuff or the things that only we need it. So go to your project and then do right click and create a new file called rollup.config.js. Here we are going to do few configurations. So the first configuration we're going to do is about input. Input means what are my source files, where my source files is located, from where the Rollup is going to take and start creating its bundle. The first thing is the input. Second thing we're going to configure is the output. Output means after taking the source file, it is going to do its operation, right? It is going to do the minification, bundling and everything. And then where it should keep this minified file, the bundle file, where it should keep. That's the location that is going to tell him. And the next thing that we're going to tell is about what is the format that Rollup is going to use. Rollup can use multiple formats. For example, it can use the ECMAScript format like AS6. It can use CommonJS format. So there are various formats that it can use while creating the bundle. We'll use the ECMAScript format. So let's go ahead and do export default. It's an array, and inside that array we'll have an object, and here we will define input colon. We will keep all our source file in the src folder that we'll be creating in a moment, and inside that there will be a file called index.js which we will see. So this is a file that I will tell Rollup, hey Rollup, this is your entry point and you start bundling from this. And after input we are going to define output. The output will have a few options. The first option is like which file it should go. So that will be defined by file, and we will create a folder called dist. Inside dist, we will create an index.js file. All right. Then the format that I was saying, the format can be CJS, can be ES. We'll be using ES. So this is, I think, at this point of time enough for us to get started with Rollup configuration. We really don't need too much of it. So we need an input, output, where the output should go, which format should go. That much is enough for now. Now it's time we'll start creating our hook. So for that, let's create a folder over here and call it as src. Under src, let us create a folder called hooks. Inside this hooks folder, we'll be creating our first hook. We will call it as useCountry.js. You have a naming convention to follow. You use the term called UAC, use, and then in the camel case, you kind of give the rest of the name. So that's why useCountry.js is my hook name. So we'll start coding our hook over here. Hook is nothing but a plain old JavaScript function that has its own state and the effects to be managed in isolation. And again, hook is something which is reusable. That means we can create the hook once and can reuse in several other places. So let's create the function useCountry, and we said that this useCountry, we will pass a name, a country name, and this is going to give us the details about this country. All right. So we have passed the country name to it, and we need to maintain a few state. One state is about the country details itself. So for that, we'll create a state called const country comma set country equals to what? To create a state in React, we need use state. So we have not imported it yet. So let's import. Again, if you are new to React, please follow my ReactJS playlist. It has everything explained thoroughly, very beautifully, so that you understand things pretty well. From React, good. Now I can use this use state. I'm expecting an array as a response of this country. That's what that REST API returns to me. I have seen that. So I'm giving an array as an initialization. And along with that, few other state that I'll be dealing with. One is the loading state. If you are working with ReactJS for some time, you know what is this loading for. We'll initialize it with false. And the last thing that we need as a state for error, set error. And we will initialize this one with nothing. Okay, so we have our states. Now we have to make an asynchronous call to the REST API that we have seen some time back. To make an asynchronous call to manage the side effect, React gives us another hook called useEffect. So let's import that. Okay, now let's write our use effect hook. Okay, so I have one thing to say here. The hook that you are writing is for the demonstration purpose, that we'll write a hook and then we publish it as an NPM. If you already have a working hook, you can straight away copy that inside the hooks folder and get started. You really don't have to follow the one that I am doing right now. Okay, but if you want to enjoy writing a hook with me, please, let's go ahead. So with use effect is take a callback, we know, and in the callback, what we are going to do is like we're going to make an asynchronous call. As we are going to make an asynchronous call, we'll be handling it using the async await. If you are new to async await, I have a full-fledged video on JavaScript synchronous asynchronous series. So please go ahead and start learning about async await as well. For async await thing, I need to do something like a function that will make the asynchronous call, and then we can actually handle the asynchronous function properly. So let me create a function called const fetch country info equals to, it should be an async function. So I'm creating an async function. Inside this async function, I'll make a call because that is an asynchronous call, the fetch call that I'll be making. And after making the call, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to call this async function over here, right? That's how use effect will be handling this one. So inside this, we'll be having all the code. There is one more thing to handle over here. We have to pass a dependency to use effect, like when the use effect should run. So every time there is a country name change, because we are passing the name as a parameter, every time there is a new name, we want this particular effect to run so that it can fetch the new country info for us. Okay, so let's do the coding. So first thing is like we will put set loading as true. That means at this point of time, we want to show the loading indicator. Then we'll make the fetch call const response equals to await is a fetch call. And here we will give the URL of that REST API. Here goes the URL of the REST API. Again, this URL is there in the description of this video, so you can actually go and copy from there. And it takes the dynamic part as the name that we are passing. So we have just put that name as a variable. Okay, after getting the response, we know like we have to get the data. So we do const data equals to await response dot JSON. We want to get the data as a JSON. Data part is done. Now we'll be populating our straight set country with the data. That's it. Now these things may result into some error, right? So we have to handle that error. For that, we'll putting a try catch. After try, let's put a catch. Here we can do a console dot error, print the error for us, just log the error. Also, we can do a set error saying the country is not found. That's the message that we want to give. You remember there is a loading that we had started. We have not really made it false yet. For that, we can write a finally. And here we can do set loading as false because finally is guaranteed to run even when there is an error or there is a success. So that's pretty much is our hook, right? Our hook is done. The only thing left for us is to return the things from this function. So how will you return the things from this function? Let me finish this. So after you're done with your hook, just return the loading, then the error, and then the country. That's all. That's all is your hook. Now I'm going to just zoom out a bit so that we can see this hook together and just reiterate like what we have done. We have imported useState useEffect. We have this hook which takes the country name. We have three states. One is for country, one is for loading, and another is for error. Then we have an useEffect to handle the fetch call. In the fetch call, we are making this particular API call. The API call required a dynamic value of name. That is the one that we are passing to the hook and using that. After getting that, we are getting the data from the response. After getting the data, we are setting the state of country. Then if there is an error, we are setting the state error. And finally, we actually making the loading false because we had made the loading true initially. And there is a dependency of this particular use effect is called name. Every time there is a new name, this particular effect should run and we should get the new country info. And finally, we are returning loading, error, and country. We are done with our hook. Now we'll be coming back to the rollup config.js file once more, and we are going to add a few more stuff because we have now added some code and the code might grow. You might want to add one more hook, and again I told that the npm size may just grow and grow. So what you want to do, you want to do some kind of minification, uglification, so that the final output become in kbs or sometime maybe in bytes, right? So for that, we'll be again using Rollup's power, and we'll be using a Rollup plugin called Rollup plugin Cursor. Okay, so I'm going to install that plugin in front of you. And this plugin also will be installing as a dev dependency. So you're going to do yarn add rollup hyphen plugin hyphen Cursor. This is a plugin, and then we will install it as a dev dependency. Great. Now, as we have installed Rollup plugin, we are going to now add the configuration of it into the rollup config.js file. It's only because we want to minify, uglify the output so that nobody can read the code that we are shipping, and also size is reducing. If you don't want that, you don't need this plugin. You don't need any more configuration over here. All right, so everything about plugin, we'll be doing the configurations over here inside the output itself. So for that, we will use an array called plugins. This will be an array, and inside this plugin, we can actually configure all the plugin including Cursor. So TRACR. So here a bunch of configuration that we can actually make, okay? Like whether we want to compress it, we don't want any kind of console log to be there. There are a bunch of things. You can go to their documentation and you can read, and you can actually do a lot of if button else. The configurations that I am interested in is like I want to support the ECMA of 2020, the version. Then I want to compress the module, of course. And then I want a few more things, like I want to drop the console if it is not a development mode. I want to drop the debugger if it is not a development mode, because if you are going to a production mode, if you are building for production, you don't want the console log to be there. You want the Rollup plugin to kind of knock them off for you, so you don't have to really manually knock them up. You can still have console.log in your code, but this plugin is going to knock it off, right? So for that, what we have done is like we want to see like dev console. In the dev mode you keep, but if it's not dev mode, you just knock it off. But what is this dev mode? What is not dev mode, right? We have not defined anything as such of that, right? We will be defining that. But before that, as we're using the Cursor plugin, we have to first import it over here. So let's import the Cursor plugin. Import Cursor from our package rollup hyphen plugin hyphen Cursor, and then dev mode. So what we can do basically, we can create a dev mode or a production mode variable pretty easily and can use it for multiple purposes. Okay, so let's create one. Const dev mode equals to, we will say process dot env dot node underscore env if it is equals development. Okay, then we call it as dev mode, right? Fair enough. Now we can even add a console.log here to check whether we are really running on dev mode or not. Something like this, where we say if it is dev mode, we're running in dev mode, print development or print production, and then you print like, you know, we are building this particular bundle for whether development or production. Fine. But the question can come, where is this node underscore env comes from? Who will add it to this? And because if it is not added, how would I know whether it's a development and production? This is what we're going to do next, guys. We are going to go to the package.json file, because this module we have created, but we have not used this module. To use this module, we'll be going to the package.json file, and here under the scripts, right here, we are going to write two scripts. So the first script that we are going to write is called build, and we will be saying rollup minus c. If I just say rollup minus c means rollup run with a configuration file, and if you give the configuration file name rollup.config.js, you can just give rollup space -c. But if you change the configuration file to something else, for example rollup tapasconfig.js, in that case you have to write rollup tapasconfig.js here. Otherwise you don't have to use write if the name is rollup.config.js. So we have given that. After that, we can pass an environment switch and can tell node environment is development. So this is where we are saying development or production. So as we are doing development, we can actually call this particular script as build::dev. Now I'll be copying the same script, comma, and paste it over here, and I'll call this one as build::prod or just build, and make this environment as production. For example, I can add a source map here, the configuration, something like if it is dev mode, add one inline source map, otherwise just ignore it. So something like that you can do. So these things are really cool stuff for you to do rollup configuration. Do you see, so far we don't have any kind of dist folder. We are saying that our output should go to the dist folder. So let's start building this app first, and we'll be building it with yarn build::dev. I get an error here. It says that I am using ECMAScript module, but my project is not of type module. So if you get an error like this, what you have to do, you have to go to package.json file, and you have to add a type and you have to say the type it's module. If you don't use the ECMAScript module, you want to go for common JS, you don't need this type colon module value. Okay, so let us now try running it again. Yarn build colon dev. Okay, I get another error called ES is not defined because this ES has to be given as a string. So here is a fun. Another error. This time the error says that I cannot find the entry point src / index.js. That's right. We don't have any src index.js file at all. We have given it as an entry point over here, isn't it? So let's fix that. So these errors I'm showing you because once you see this error and try fixing things, you know the cause why you are doing it. If I had done everything previously for you, you won't see any error. You won't learn things the way that you should be learning. You just will be following me. Now you will remember every step very well. Okay. So right now I'm going to create an index.js file. And what is this file for? So if I go to use country, I have created this particular hook. Right now I have to export this hook. I will export as export default use country, and then I'll come back to this index.js file. I'll import it here. All right, and then I'll be exporting as name export like this. So it means tomorrow if you have other components, tomorrow if you have other hooks to export and then bundle into the npm, you can tell Rollup, hey Rollup, you can still look into one entry point file which is index.js, and from this file you will know what are the files I want to bundle. At this point I want to bundle only use country, but now you are free to add any other React components or hooks over here and then export them from here. That's it. That's all you need to do. So let's go back to our terminal again. We are going to do the command once more, yarn build dev. Wow, finally it says that we created a dist index.js file. That is really great. All right, so let's go and see what is there inside dist. So if I go to dist, open that, I have something really garbage, right? Because this file is minified, this file is uglified, nobody can ever understand what is written over there. And there is also a Sourcemap URL because I have ran build colon dev. Now let me keep this file open, and instead of build colon dev, I'm going to run build. Just observe what happens. It got created again, but this time the source map is not there because I've given the configuration, if you remember, that only if it is dev mode, then only you actually create an inline source map. Otherwise, don't create an inline source map, right? So our configuration is working perfectly. That's all good. Okay, so here are a few things that you need to remember. We are very near to create our NPM, but the things that we have to remember is like add 2 more files for ignoring things that should not go to either your GitHub or your NPM package. So for that, let us create 2 files. One file we'll call gitignore, and in this gitignore file, we are going to add few things. Okay, so of course we're going to add this .vs code because we don't want to check in this one. Then we are going to add this dist folder because we don't want to check in this one. Then we are going to add this node underscore modules. Okay, of course I've given the spelling wrong over here, so let's make it gitignore git. Yeah, now you will see as and when I start putting things, these are all losing their color. That means I don't want to kind of check in them in. So node modules, no, we don't want node modules also. Anything else? I think that's all. So we don't want these files to be checked into Git. That's the reason I have put them into the gitignore. Let's add one more thing called npm ignore. So we'll do a new file, npm ignore. The only thing that we're going to bundle is this. Okay. Rest of the thing and the package.json will come. Rest of the things we don't want to bundle. So what are the things that I don't want to bundle? Those things I have to give in .npm ignore. For example, I don't want to give the source code, so straight away add src. Okay, I don't want to bundle rollup.config.js file, right? So I'll be putting this in the npm ignore, but I want to definitely commit rollup.config.js file into my repository, so I cannot give it into the gitignore file. I hope so far things are clear. Now to build our npm, the final thing that we have to do is to go to this package.json, go to the key called main, and here you tell what you want to bundle. So I'll be bundling dist, only the dist folder, right? So everything is done. We are set. The next thing that we are going to do is to create the command, is to give the command to create an npm package locally, test that npm package out, and finally just put the npm package into the registry. So to create an npm package locally for testing it out, you have to use a command called npm pack. Okay, this command is only for creating the package locally so that you can test it out. Npm pack and press enter. So this is created. You can see over here there is a tzz file, tapas-countries-100.tzz. To tzz is a tar file, there's a package file that's got created. Why don't you just untar this and see like what is the content of it? Alright, so this is the package. Let me double click on it. Is untarred. So if I go inside this, wow, I see only dist and package.json. That is exactly what we wanted to bundle. If I go inside the dist, I'll see only index.js file. And if I open this index.js file, I will see some minified code which nobody could understand probably, right? So this is what we have done. We have the package ready. Next thing to do is to commit all the code that we have done and then test out our package. So what we'll do now, we have an npm package ready, which we have not published publicly, but we can test it out locally. So for that, I'll create one React project, and in that React project, I'll be installing this. I'll show you like how to install it locally, and then we will be testing things out, and once we're satisfied, we are just going to publish it for everyone to use. I have created a React application using Wait and installed Tailwind CSS over here. Now with this, I can run this using the yarn dev command. As I do so, I can see it is running on localhost 5173. Once I bring localhost 5173, I see there is only one text called app. It is because if I go to app.jsx file, it has only app. So now I'm going to install my npm. To install the npm, open package.json file because we're installing and testing it locally. Here under dependencies, you should declare your npm similarly how other npms are declared. So to start with, you have to give the npm name, your npm name. So if you remember, in my case, my npm name was tapas-countries. And here, what you have to do, you have to give the file path of that tzz file that we have created. For that, you have to give file, colon, then the name of the tzz file. Now, usually what I do basically, if I have to test it out, the project where I'm testing this, I copy that tzz file into the same project so that I can give the path locally. So let me copy that over here somewhere in the below. I'm copying this file over here. So I have this tapas-countries 100.tzz. I'm just going to copy the name, come back to my package.json and paste this name over here. So is the package name tapas-countries and then colon file colon the actual tzz file name. If your tzz file is in another folder, you can just give that particular path over here, instead of just the file name. All right, so this is done. Now it's time to install. Now for installation, I'll just do yarn. This is installed. How can I say that tapas-countries, this package got installed? I can go under node modules, scroll down, starts with T. Here I see tapas-countries. Now let us go to app.jsx file and try to import our hook here. So we'll do import from, our package name is tapas-countries, and the hook that we have is in the package, and the hook that we have it in the package is called use country. All right, so now we have this hook. Now what we can do is like use country returns three things. One is loading, error, and the country object. So we will retrieve them here. We'll restructure them. One is loading, then is error, and then we'll have country equals to use country. And if you remember, use country takes the name of a particular country. So you can pass any name of the country and is going to give us the details of that particular country. So let's pass a name called Republic of India, and let us print this country information over here on the log. Great. So I already see there is a country information is coming up. It says Republic of India, the name is India, all this information that are coming into the console. This is really superb. So it means that this particular object, if I see it is in array, so I can actually over here, just for my satisfaction that everything works well, so I can take a p tag and over here I can start printing things. Country returns an array, so I'll do country of 0 dot name dot common, and it also returns something called a flag. So let us also print that dot flag. Okay, so what do you think the output will be? Let us just see. Awesome. So we have the country India along with this flag printed beautifully. So it means that if I go to this hook, now change India to something else. Let's say instead of India, I'm going to give Bangladesh and then come to the UI. Wow, I have the country and its flag. So our hook is working and this is great. So it means that anybody can take this hook and use to get information about any country as long as we publish it to the NPM registry. So the next thing that you're going to do is publishing. Before you publish your NPM, you must have a good README file, because README file is a place where any person who would like to use your NPM would find all the instruction of how to install it and how to use it. So go back to the place where you had the file for your NPM, your hook and everything, the project that we started initially. Add a readme.md file over there and make sure in this readme file you add some meaningful instructions. All right, I have created a readme file, a simple one, which talk about how to use it, how to install it, and how to import this particular hook, and then how to extract the information. That's it. So the next thing would be I'll commit this, add it, commit, and push the changes. Come to your package.json file. Here add two tags. One is called repository, another is called bugs. The repository will have a type called git, and this URL should point to your GitHub repository where you have checked in the code for this NPM. So go ahead and paste it. For me, it is here, and the same repository you post it for bugs, but after that you give like issues. So it means that in this repository where people can go to find issues, or where they can log issues if in case they are actually encountering some issue. So that's it. Everything is done. Now, next point is to just go and push it. But before that, one small thing to commit this package.json as well into your GitHub repository. I am now logged into my npm.js account. And if I go to my account and go under packages, I don't find this new package yet because I have not pushed it. I have some other packages that I have created and pushed in the past. So I'm going to open a command prompt. Here we are going to try a few commands. So the first command that I'm going to try is called npm login, to log into my account from the terminal. Here it will ask your username. Give the username and then the password. So when you type the password, you won't be able to see what you're typing, but make sure you type the correct password. After that, it will ask for your email. Just give the email that is associated with this account. If you have two-factor authentication on, you will get the OTP on your authenticated app. If you don't have, you will get it on your email. So accordingly, go and get the OTP. For me, it will come to my email. So I'll copy this OTP and one-time password basically and paste it over here. That's it. I'm logged in. Okay, now we're going to do the publish. So for that, we have to go to the project, where we have created this NPM. Okay, I'm inside that project folder. I'm still in the session. So I'll do npm publish. This is the command that you should give to publish your NPM to the remote repository. Is publishing? Great. Our NPM tapas-countries with the version 1.0.0 is published. Now let us go to npm registry my account and see whether it's really published or not. So now I'm going to refresh this page. Wow, a few seconds ago I have published tapas-countries. Now if I go to this package, it has all the instructions that we have given. Can you see that? It says I am the collaborator. This is the proud factor, and the repository information that we have given, it is here. So anybody want to see the code, they can actually click on it, open it, and see the code about it. This is great. So you have done the things right. Now, if you want to consume this one from the remote instead of the things that you have done it locally, let us go back to your code. You don't have to change any code anywhere except the package.json. Over here, instead of taking this from your local file, the way that we did, I'll just give the version 1.0.0, or you can say any version that is equal or more than 1.0.0. That also you can do. So isn't this amazing? This is really, really great. One quick tip I'll give you before we end. When you are creating the NPM locally for testing, you may create this tzz file locally from where you'll be creating this NPM. So make sure that you create an entry of this file in that .npm ignore folder as well, because once you create the NPM package, you don't want this particular tzz file to be automatically bundled along with your NPM, right? So this also you can actually ignore. So make sure that you always ignore this. You know how to ignore? You can go to npm ignore file and then just add this pattern. So any file with this particular tzz, it will be ignored. One good news for all of you guys. So if you want to build NPM the way that I have taught you, go ahead and build it. But if you want to use an existing boilerplate, like, you don't have to build all the things that we have learned, you can use it. I have created one called custom hook NPM. and there are instructions here very clearly like how you can use it. So it means that if you have a hook, if you have a React component, if you have a JavaScript component, you want to create an NPM out of it, just go ahead and follow the instructions over there. You are basically done. Then you will be able to build and create your own NPM file. The everything else required for it already bundled over there, and this repository is existing as a template repository. So it means you can actually create your own repository out of this boilerplate and do any kind of modification that you want. So this is for you, this is open source, and if you find any issues with this, please let me know, we'll be fixing it. And also you can jump in and you can contribute, and if you like this project, please give me some star. That will be really motivating. So was it helpful, guys? If so, please like, share and subscribe. That's what you can actually do to me to help this content creator. Go ahead and do it so that other people also come to know the stuff that we are building. All right, so now is the time to give you the task. The task is very simple. We have seen how to create an NPM. Now it's time for you to create one. Create anything. Create on something that you think that will be useful. Maybe as simple as you can create a greeting message, as simple as you can create certain kind of mathematic manipulations, as simple as you can create something that creates graphic or a game. Anything that you think would be useful, put some logic behind it, put it into a React hook and follow the same procedure and create your own NPM. And once you've done that, please publish that NPM publicly and give the link of that NPM into our Discord channel, so that many other people who are there in the Discord channel already can gives you thumbs up, can start your repository and also use the NPM that you are creating. So I'll be looking forward to see your NPM very soon. So up next, we'll be coming up with another great video for you guys. Until then, take a great care of yourself, have fun and keep learning.